Chapter 15. Joel 3, Revelation 20, Ezekiel 39, and Zechariah 14 talk about the defeat of Gog and Magog after the Second Advent, after the judgment or war in Armageddon, or the plains of Megiddo in Revelation 16 verse 16. This is the time after the millennium when Jesus comes back, when he defeats Gog and Magog, rebelling nations, on the Mount of Olives in Jerusalem rather than Megiddo as in Revelation 16 verse 16. At that time, Jerusalem is attacked and ransacked. But Jesus goes on the Mount of Olives and fire comes down from heaven destroying the armies gathered at Israel. According to Ezekiel 39, for 7 years the people who are left use the weapons left to burn fire, and they bury the dead for 7 months. After that, according to Joel 3, is judgment in the valley of Jehoshaphat after they are buried there, and the nations pay tribute for 7 years, using Ezekiel 39 and Joel 3. It seems like at the Second Advent at Armageddon, it's a different battle than the one right before Judgment Day. If you compare Zechariah 12 with Zechariah 14, it seems to be talking about two different events. 12 says Jerusalem will be safe, 14 says it's sacked first. It seems like Zechariah 12 refers to the Battle of Armageddon and 14 refers to the final battle of Gog and Magog. It makes sense with Revelation and Joel and Ezekiel 39. A narrative forms. After the seals and persecution in Jerusalem, Jerusalem is made strong by the trumpets and the two witnesses and their revolution that looks a lot like Moses and Aaron in Egypt with all of Israel. After the death of the two witnesses, Revelation 15 scene opens. And the beast from the abyss, the eighth king of the seven-headed beast from the sea, Rev 11:8 and 11 explains that, are being destroyed by the vials. At Revelation 16 verse 16, the beast, the false prophet, and the nations are gathered to Megiddo, and in Rev 19, after the last vial, the armies of God. Everyone from the Rev 15 scene on earth and those in heaven come and destroy the beast, and they are sent to the second fire. The beast and the false prophet, which means the Antichrist, the false prophet of the false church beast from the earth, and the eighth king or head, the fallen angels, the Antichrist, and the false prophet are thrown in the lake of fire. In Rev 19 it says the two of them. That could mean the two beasts who all were a part of it, or it could just be the two leaders and the rest go to Hades until Judgment Day. I think it's everyone part of the beast from the sea and earth even. The fallen angels or the beast from the abyss, that is the eighth of the seven. Once the Second Advent occurs, those who don't get martyred and put in resurrected bodies are extended to the lifespan of the patriarchs like Methuselah and Noah, as Isaiah 65 verse 20 describes, and die and go to Abraham's bosom or heaven where the non-martyrs. Then there is a final rebellion by the second generation because 1K years is about 30 years longer than Methuselah lived. Most people will live 800 to 900 years like the patriarchs are described living to accomplish Isaiah 65. That's when Zechariah 14, Joel 3, Ezekiel 39 play out. They come ransack Jerusalem as the devil is unleashed from the bottomless pit. And Jesus goes on the Mount of Olives with the martyrs as one army or body and destroy them with fire. Then they bury the bodies and use the weapons of war for fire to burn trash. For 7 months they bury them in the valley of Jehoshaphat, the place where the final judgment happens and everyone evolves into resurrected bodies or is thrown in the second fire. The survivors of the battle will go up and celebrate the tabernacles as Zechariah 14 verse 16 describes for those 7 years in between the judgment and the battle. Ezekiel 39 and Joel 3 explain. Then 7 years later Judgment Day occurs, Jerusalem or heaven descends to the city, and that's the end of the book. Ezekiel 39 and Rev 19 talk about birds eating the dead that are killed as a tribute to them from God. But I put the Gog and Magog after Rev 9 with Ezekiel 39. I did that because of the context of where this is all happening. One is at Megiddo and the other is at the Mount of Olives. One is concerning Gog and Magog, and the other has to do with the beast from the earth and sea and those nations. I could be wrong, but I think it fits better for both scenarios. The birds feast on the enemies of Armageddon, and the birds feast on the enemies at the Mount of Olives. The whole scene fits better, Joel 3, Ezekiel 39, and Zechariah 14, with after Armageddon or Rev 19 because of the location of Megiddo. In Revelation 16 verse 16 and 19, it says he comes like a thief on them in the plains of Megiddo, not on the MT of Olives, and the city is never ransacked except for in the seals as the beast's rule is fully established, to accomplish Revelation 17 verse 16. He is not described on the Mount of Olives at that time. The 7 years are after the battle in Ezekiel. The birds feast on the dead over and over again throughout time. For me, it fits that it happens after the final battle, because that's the most dead. It says at that time they will be as much as the sands of the seashore surrounding the Holy Land, more than Armageddon. Revelation 20 doesn't go into detail beyond the city being surrounded, and then fire coming from heaven, and the devil are thrown into the lake of fire, and then judgment. But Ezekiel 39, Joel 3, and Zechariah 14 seem to go into more detail. It seems like Zechariah 12 describes Jerusalem during Armageddon, which after the 2 witnesses shifts to Megiddo at the end of the vials, or chapter 16:12 after the 2 witnesses in Jerusalem seen in Rev 11. I think Zechariah 13 describes the second advent, and Zechariah 14 describes the final battle after the second advent.